And so I'm just curious,
Yeah.
does pleasure enter into your discussions with your female
Yeah.
client?
Yeah, it does. And it's something that I am recognizing more and more as a gateway to my wholeness is pleasure. And it's the pleasure of, having a hot cup of tea in the morning and like just like taking it in. Yeah. The pleasure of things around you being aesthetically pleasing, the pleasure of like putting oil on your body after
Mm.
your bath and like finding pleasure in all the moments and pleasure not just being connected to sex or being connected to someone else giving you pleasure, like all the pleasure that you can receive on your own by engaging the senses.
Okay, loves, welcome to the Feminine Rebellion. Today's guest is the kind of doctor you wish you'd had your whole life. 100%. She's not here to hand you a pill and send you home. She is here to remind you that your body is not broken and it's not betraying you. And it's absolutely not something you need to fix with another cleanse or another supplement stack or another 5 a.m. routine that you found on the internet. Dr. Erika Siegel is a functional medicine physician. She's an acupuncturist, and she's the author of the Nourish Me Kitchen, which I have both Bibles here that I just received in the mail. They're absolutely gorgeous. So with over 20 years of experience blending Western science and Eastern wisdom, she helps people stop outsourcing their health and start feeling genuinely powerful in their bodies again. She believes, and I'm totally here for this, that you deserve to create a life that you don't need to detox from. So this episode is going to get into the energy, into hormones, metabolism, nervous system, and what it actually looks like to stop abandoning your body in favor of what everyone else says you should do. I'm so excited for this conversation. Dr. Erika Siegel, welcome to the Feminine Rebellion.
Thanks so much, Natty. Really fun to hear that introduction. It feels really good to know that that's how I'm being received and how I want to show up in the world.
Well, you're so true. You're so authentic. I mean, we were talking before we hit record, and I feel like every time someone just enters my podcast room, I should just hit record because some of the best conversations happen that don't ever make it onto the recording. But what I was telling Dr. Erika was that a girlfriend of mine, Steph Redlener, follows Erika on Instagram. And so I think there's something about the algorithm that fed Dr. Erika into my feed. And I just became kind of obsessed with her and started like looking at all of her reels. And one in particular was, and I think this might resonate with some of you, is she did a little pantry visit. She opened up her pantry and she started pulling all of these like really beautiful mason jars out of her pantry that were filled with like, I don't know, nuts and seeds and black lentils. And I was just like, I want my kitchen to be like that. I want to know like the 10 essential ingredients, or I want to know what are some of the things that I already have in my pantry that are nourishing to me. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to have her on the podcast. And for anyone who's been watching or listening to the podcast for a while knows that that's how I roll. Like I get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of submissions, but it's really all about who I'm magnetized towards or like what I'm being pulled towards. And I was completely pulled towards you. And so thrilled you're here.
Thank you so much. As soon as I saw your invitation and went onto your page, I had this full body yes, and I was so delighted. And it was just an instant like ease, green lights, yes, 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 yes. And it's so nice to know you and see what you're doing in the world and how you're empowering people, women to feel whole in this moment of their life when we can start to feel fragmented, fractured, broken, like you said. And we're all in this together to help support each other in feeling our best and like living our fullest life.
And what's so interesting is that, there's so much like in the ethers around how hard midlife is,
Right.
how hard it can be, how like, like hormones and, low libido. And there's this real like negative vibe. And I'm not discounting that. Like my hormones are all over the place. I'm trying HRT. I'm trying all these other things to support me and make me feel good. And I also hold on to the belief that this gets to be the best time of my fucking life. And I swear. So that's what I'm so interested in what you have to say around how you're supporting that. Cause I think we share that belief that those things are real, and let's find natural ways to support our lives and our longevity and our happiness and our turn on. And so, I guess, so let's circle back and just actually have you introduce you. So I know that you blend many different kinds of medicine. So naturopathic medicine, acupuncture, functional medicine, Eastern philosophy. So that's a real wild combination by conventional standards. I'm curious, like, was there a moment or a crisis of any kind that made you realize that Western medicine alone wasn't going to cut it?
Yeah, there actually was a moment. And it wasn't particularly interesting other than I felt I was in my second year of naturopathic medical school, which, while it's open-minded and is in some way holistic, it is still a reductionistic paradigm of organ systems and structure, function, mechanism of action. It's still very reductionistic and Western. And I had a moment sitting in class in my second year of schooling, kind of recognizing that I was still breaking the body into systems in my mind and learning about it in that way, and had this epiphany that I needed to also learn Chinese medicine, which I was starting to learn about because of the school that I went to had a dual degree program where they would teach Chinese medicine concurrently. And they would give us introduction classes to just like get us interested in it, some qigong and introduction to Chinese medicine. And when I started to compare the two and feel that they weren't necessarily at odds, but they were using different language and they were looking at the body differently, I recognized that I really needed to embody both to fully feel like that I could have a full picture of the human system and the human organism. And I actually got out of class right in the middle of class, went right to the Chinese medicine program director and said, "Is it too late to start?" I add on, and they said, "Absolutely not too late." And so my 4 years of medical school became 6, and I did this dual degree program, which was interesting because it was learning 2 different systems of medicine that felt like they were maybe contradicting each other, until I recognized that it was just nomenclature and a mindset that they actually could say the same thing and were rounding each other out. And it just took a little time to recognize that all systems of medicine are essentially trying for the same thing, which is to restore homeostasis, restore harmony, because the body has an innate desire and ability to heal itself. And so we're always just trying to remove obstacles to that.
So say that one more time.
Yeah. So what I started to recognize when I looked at different systems of medicine is that we were trying to restore homeostasis. So the body can use its innate wisdom to heal itself.
Innate wisdom.
Yeah. Innate wisdom. I mean, we get a cut and our body gets to work. We don't have to direct it to bring white blood cells and platelets and inflammatory mediators to heal that cut. It's just going to go to work. And that's happening all over all the time. And Chinese medicine, naturopathic medicine, conventional medicine, Ayurveda, it's all working to allow the body to heal itself, hopefully, or give it the tools. Maybe it's a bigger intervention, but we're trying to give the body the tools to restore healing because it knows how to heal everything.
So this is something, okay, so this is amazing because this segues perfectly into something that I've heard you say over and over again, which is you talk about people outsourcing their health.
Right.
when I heard that phrase, I immediately thought of these like super high functioning, high achieving like women in my world who are smart as hell, but somewhere along the way, they handed their bodies and their body's innate wisdom over to experts or over to like trending protocols.
Exactly. And
So
it's endless, right?
it's endless.
It's endless.
There's always something new. Like I got caught up in
Yeah.
it too. 4 years ago, like I found Huberman,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, oh my God, I need this supplement in the morning. And I'm not cold plunging after my sauna. Like I start adding more to my to-do list. And then I'm like, wait, I don't actually know if any of this stuff is right for me.
Exactly. And all of those tools that you just mentioned, cold plunging, supplements, whatever it is, they might be a good fit and they might work within the context of your health, but really at the base level, we need the foundations of your health, the pillars.
Yeah.
And so when I'm talking about not outsourcing our health, I'm talking about a few things. One is outsourcing our wisdom because we often will say, well, I read that I should eat this, or I was told I shouldn't do that, but we aren't necessarily experiencing it and asking ourselves, well, how does that feel? So one person can thrive as a vegetarian, and another person can thrive as a meat eater, and everything in between. And so no one can tell you what the right diet is for you. Sure, I think we can all agree that processed junk food isn't going to make anyone thrive. But when we're talking about just real food,
Right.
no one can tell you what the right macronutrient combination is for your body. And we've been outsourcing all that knowledge. We think we're going to follow this program and that program, and it's going to tell us, it's going to give us information. But really, our body gives us the information when we tune in and we do a little inventory. How's my energy? How do I sleep? How's my mood? That's going to give us a lot more information than, any experts online. So really encouraging people to get to the like back to the basics, because when you get back to the basics of foundational care, then you can tune in more easily. And the basics are, you know, get ample sleep and eat food that feels good in your body, drink ample water, move your body, get sunshine, be in community, enjoy your life, pleasure. Like really just like refine it back to the basics. And then you can add on that cold plunge and check in. How do I feel after a cold plunge? Maybe it feels good to do a cold plunge or a cool plunge, but not like
Mm.
super, super cold because,
Mm.
maybe your adrenals are really taxed and you're also in hormonal fluctuation. Then you do that cold plunge and it's now a big stressor on your body. But I know that for me, when I do a cool plunge, like 55, 60 degrees, I feel really refreshed.
Mm.
35 degrees, that might feel like too much of a shock to my system. So, like, just starting to notice, how do I feel when I do these things?
Well, that's a really good question. And that brings me to something that I see in my practice all the time, which is women who have been, high performers for
Yeah,
decades,
right,
have reached the pinnacles of their career, and they actually don't know how they feel. They know
right.
they
They're
feel
disconnected.
tired, but they feel kind of numb. So if
Yeah.
where do they start?
I think for them, again, they start with really doubling down on the pillars of health. And
Mm.
maybe they're in a place of not knowing, or like maybe they're trying to make a decision in their life, but they're in limbo. They don't know what the next step is. And I'll say to people, if you don't know what that next step is or the right choice, then it's not time to decide. So it's just not
Ooh.
time. You're in the in between. It's not time yet. So
Imagine listening to yourself.
right. So it's not time. And I mean, I listened to your podcast the other day, the really, really juicy one about your birthday. Had this like unbelievably rich birthday experience, and then like had this like experience on the other end of it that felt kind of like a crash where you didn't have a lot to give and a lot of energy. And then you recognize on the other end of it that that time was also useful, that was a necessary recalibration. So whether that's 2 days or 2 months or 2 years, if you're in a space where you don't know what's next and you don't really know how you feel, I usually will recommend that people just get really simple. Just move your body a little bit, take walks, make sure you're sleeping, eat simple, good food. And as you decrease some of the noise, then more clarity can come when we just give ourselves sort of the basic needs.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Mm.
And so, I'm just curious,
Yeah.
does pleasure enter into your discussions with your female
Yeah.
clients?
Yeah, it does. And it's something that I am recognizing more and more as a gateway to my wholeness is pleasure. And it's the pleasure of, having a hot cup of tea in the morning and like just like taking it in. Yeah. The pleasure of things around you being aesthetically pleasing, the
Mm.
pleasure of like putting oil on your body after your bath, and like finding pleasure in all the moments. And pleasure not just being connected to sex or being connected to someone else giving
Mm.
you pleasure, like all the pleasure that you can receive on your own by engaging the senses. And
Yes.
I do write about this in my book that, we're sensual beings, and that's how we communicate with the world is through our senses. And pleasing the senses is a way to like return to yourself. So at the
Mm.
very least, adding on to that formula of like good sleep and good food and good movement, like just clean your room. That can be pleasurable when you look around your room and it's lovely. When everything that you look at brings you joy, like that can really calm your nervous system, which can bring down your cortisol and reduce your stress and help you sleep. And so I think, and you mentioned Stephanie Redlener earlier today. I, Stephanie is someone who's taught me to connect with pleasure as a
Mm.
means to my empowerment and to my health, and that it's not like pleasure isn't what you get when you've gotten all your work done and
Exactly.
you did all the things. Like you can lead with pleasure, and then when you come from pleasure, you share more authentically, you things are easier.
It's fuel.
And yeah, it's fuel. And so that's been a reframe for me when I start to think about like, do I want to do this big thing, this big project, or how hard do I want to work at it? And the like information I get about it is do it as long as it's pleasurable. Because
Mm.
like I had this realization. I think it was during like a breath work thing when it was like a transcendental moment. And I
Mm-hmm.
had this moment where I was like, how many books should I try to sell? And then I had this recognition. It was like as many as you want. And there was
Yeah.
this idea of like as many as you want, like have it be through joy, like let joy and pleasure lead you. So if it's joyful to go on podcasts and do lectures and tour and this and that, then do it. If it's not,
Mhm.
then don't do it. Like that's okay
Yay.
too. Yeah.
That's inner wisdom.
Yeah. And
That is
something you gain in midlife, right? Like, I don't know
yes.
that I would have been there when I was 30. Now at 51, I have the pleasure to choose and say, well, I thought I wanted to do that, but it's actually not bringing me pleasure. So I'm going to reorient towards something else. And when you align with that, then you magnetize more and things become easier. Making money becomes easier. Your health becomes easier, and recognizing that it is a gateway in.
Yeah, 100%. I'm so glad that you're letting that spill over into your patients
Yeah.
as well. Like we need so
Yeah.
many people on the pleasure train.
Exactly. Like in my intake form, on the first page, I say, "What do you love to do, and what would you like to spend more time doing?"
Mm,
And when they share with me what they love to do, I'm now keeping that in my mind as a common goal. Like, okay, this person wants to get back out on the golf course. Like
mm,
we're working on that together. And if I didn't know that about them, I might not be orienting my treatment in a way that is going to encourage that. So that's also like a really powerful thing to ask people, I think, is like, what do you love to do? What do you want to do more of? And
mm.
and that is saying what brings you pleasure. And then, you're like you have this like now vision of them doing that, or you can support them in doing that.
You're an awesome doctor. We need more doctors.
Thank you.
More Dr.
Thank
Siegel.
you.
Beautiful. So you work a lot with stress and the nervous system and
Yeah.
nervous system dysregulation. So, you know, I know a lot of women in my world anyway are walking around in like a chronic low grade state of fight or flight,
So
like functional, high performing, but their body's like current, like always braced. So
Yeah.
can you talk to us about what's happening physiologically when we live like that for
hmm
years?
Yeah. I mean, sadly, we're really creating a well-worn path in our nervous system where it becomes easier and easier to go down the stress response. So we just are naturally going into a sympathetic state. There's the sympathetic and the parasympathetic legs of the nervous system. They're autonomic, and our body will always be deciding between those two states. Do I need to run from the tiger and, go, go, go? Or is this a time for resting and digesting and healing? And we don't want to live in either state all the time. We
Mm,
need that sympathetic state to get us out of bed in the morning. We need cortisol in the morning, but we need to have our get up and go.
yeah.
And then we need for our parasympathetic state to get on board so we can digest our food, so we can have our cortisol come down in the afternoon and eventually come down low before bed. But if we're always in the go, 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 and we're overriding our responses, our desire for rest or our desire to pause, and if we're overriding it with stress or caffeine or sugar or addiction, even just looking at our phone to like give us a little dopamine, we are we're basically telling our body that we'll rest later. Let's produce a little bit more cortisol and adrenaline to keep going, and eventually we can get really tired adrenal glands where they can't even rise to the occasion. So we start to
Mm,
get flatline, and that's when
mm,
that's the like 40-year-old mom who comes in burning the candle at both ends. She's raising kids and working full time, and staying up too late because it's her only time she gets to herself, and eventually she comes in flat,
mm,
and she's like, I can't function unless I have a stressor. And then so people
mm,
will start to even create stress in their body because they get into a pattern of being unproductive unless they're stressed. So
mm.
we're really over stressing ourselves, and even in our downtime we're being stressed because we think it's relaxing to lay back and go through our phone. And that, I've noticed, is really stressful, really upsetting. I mean, my
Oh,
inst my
especially
my
at
feeds
oh,
my feeds seem like they're out to kill me. Like,
yeah,
it's like between, like, global news and then all of the things that are being advertised to me because I'm menopausal or perimenopausal, like,
right.
I feel worse.
Yeah.
So, recognizing that we need actual breaks, we need actual rest, we need actual pleasure moments,
Mm,
and we need to wind down in the afternoon and evening so our cortisol can come down, and we need real sleep. Where unfortunately we've gotten so good at overriding all of our cues for restoration that we're overtaxing our body, and then the downstream effect of that is we get a lot of hormonal dysregulation, blood sugar dysregulation, all the signs of being kind of overworked.
when I first started kind of doing this work, I hit 40 and I was that adrenal fatigued, high
Uh-huh.
functioning working mom of three. That's what
Right.
led me into this path. But I set a reminder on my phone. It was like 5 times a day. And the question was, how are you feeling?
Great.
And it was just like, wow, how am I? Because we don't even think about it. Right.
So
And it was
true.
like, oh, am I feeling tired? Do I have energy? And it was just like a check in to be
So
like,
smart.
wow. And what I realized is that if I was tired, if I allowed myself to lay down for like 15 minutes, that
Yeah.
was all I needed.
Right.
But I had a fear that
Yes.
if I stopped, I'd never get back up.
Right.
Like that was
It
my
is so
biggest
true.
fear. Like if I lay down, I will never get up.
Right.
I will
Yeah.
lay here forever. But my body just needed those 15 minutes. And even
Yeah.
like to this day, I either take a bath every afternoon or a nap.
So smart.
Like, and
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
recharging, but it's so simple.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's so simple. And like I love what you're saying. You're like, I'm gonna take this with me. I need to drink more water. I drink a ton of
Mhm.
tea, herbal
Mhm.
tea,
Yeah, that does the trick.
which is probably fine, I guess. But
Yeah.
I still know I need more fluids because
Yeah.
whatever. I'm not gonna get into
Yeah.
my own personal journey here, but just the simple things like getting a solid sleep
Yeah.
every night. Like getting into bed, I'm in bed at 9 o'clock usually with a book. And I fall asleep reading. My
Yeah.
husband has to like turn the light off.
Yeah.
But like solid sleep, water, whole foods,
Right.
nourishing foods, like if everyone listening
Basics.
just started there,
Oh yeah. Take care of most issues,
yeah,
really.
take care of most
It,
issues.
it's not that sexy, but it works.
Yeah,
Those
and
are the things that
before
work.
adding other things in. It's like it's
Exactly.
not that like you don't need other supplements or whatever, but like start
Yeah.
with the baseline.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So let's shift into, because once I said sleep, I was like, ooh, I know my listeners are going to be like, but I can't sleep. So midlife is this fascinating and wildly
Mhm.
underserved territory for women.
Yeah.
Hormonal shifts, metabolism
Mhm.
changes.
Yeah.
So, and then, the old narrative of you're just aging, so just deal with it and power
Right.
through, which I think is shifting. We're seeing a
Yeah.
shift in the ethers.
Mm.
So you bring both like Western lab work and Eastern
Yeah.
medicine to this.
Mhm. Yeah.
So can you tell us more about that? Like what was conventional medicine missing that the Eastern medicine is supporting you
Yeah.
with, or is it different with each?
Well, I think something that I learned both from naturopathic schooling and Chinese medicine schooling is trying to understand the root cause of something. So if let's say you go to a conventional doctor with a headache, they might give you pain medication options.
Hmm.
If you go to an integrative or functional medicine doctor, or Chinese medicine, naturopathic, the goal now is to figure out what is the pattern that is causing this headache. So what are your triggers? What
Hmm.
type of headache? Where is it? Does it come on at 3 p.m. after a bunch of computer work and your shoulders have been up to your ears? So is that a tension headache and it's musculoskeletal? Is it coming 3 days before your period? And so maybe when that progesterone's declining, is it just in the front of the head? And so Chinese medicine tells us this is a digestive part of the body. Is it the side of the head, which Chinese medicine tells us is the gallbladder channel? Does it come when you're dehydrated or not nourished, which is from Chinese medicine, a blood and qi deficiency? So there's all this different language. And at first it feels like, oh gosh, well, are we describing different things? No, it's just deeper understanding of the body's communication. And so I think that the way that conventional medicine differs from these other systems of medicine is conventional medicine is often trying to counter a symptom with something that will either suppress it, make it, or hopefully make it go away from a foundational place. But it often is just the anti, like you have an infection, so you take an antibiotic. It just
Mhm.
kills bacteria. So it's not working to build the terrain up to fight the infection itself. And
Mm.
I'll use antibiotics if needed, of course, but I'm also going to work to build the immune system so it can do the good fight on its own because our body has the ability to fight most things.
Yeah.
And, for like, let's say a urinary tract infection, someone has a UTI, clear symptoms of it. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to we'll bring it all together. I'm first going to do Western lab work. So we're going to do a urinalysis. We're
Hmm.
going to confirm that there's white blood cells and bacteria in that urine. Yes, confirmed UTI. Now I'm going to say, all right, we know that we have a short window before this thing might try to go north into the bladder and kidneys, and we don't want that. So we're going to watch symptoms really closely. We're going to do a very intense, aggressive naturopathic and or Chinese medicine treatment with herbs that will clear out the urinary tract and antibacterial herbs and herbs that like everyone knows about cranberry extract. It actually coats the E. coli or the gram-negative bacteria, makes it slippery so it can't adhere onto the walls.
Is
Yeah, that's how it works. That's how it works. And so there's an extract from cranberry called D-mannose. It's the sugar that we get from the cranberry that is doing all that hard work. And it coats the bacteria and just washes it out. So I'll say, okay, we are going to go hard. We're going to take this 5 times a day. We're going to do these 3 or 4 herbs. So we'll do Chinese herbs or Western herbs because there's some from both that are urinary tract tonics or like anti-infective. And I want to know within 48 hours, are we at the same place? Are we better? Or are we worse? And if we're at the same place or better, we're going to keep going. If we're worse, we're going to move on to an antibiotic. And 95% of the time, we can avoid that antibiotic. So
wow.
that's a good example of working, like confirming through Western diagnoses and then using natural therapies to treat. and having Western therapies available if needed, because we're not dogmatic. We're not trying to hurt anyone. We want
Right.
everything to be available for people, but let's do the smartest course of action here. And most of the time, people don't need the antibiotic, and then they don't have, months of GI dysregulation because they clear out their microbiome. We want to use medicine smartly. And I have no, ego about it. It's like whatever
Yeah.
we need to use, we use.
What's so interesting, what's coming up for me, Dr. Siegel, is that your approach is more work for you.
It is definitely more work.
So I'm like,
hit
I'm
it.
listening to you and I'm like, well, sure, because if I have a UTI and I call a traditional, Western doctor,
Yeah.
they're just going to send me to CVS to pick up whatever,
Yeah.
amoxicillin or whatever you use for
Right.
UTI. And done. It's like, that's like 45 seconds of someone's day. Whereas you are, first of all, like for the headache, you're like asking me where it's coming from. You're doing, it's just,
Yeah.
it's twice the amount of labor.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
your
It's like integrity medicine.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm like, you're actually partnering
Yes.
with,
Partnering with them, trusting them,
yeah.
trusting that what they say about their body is true, that I don't know their body better than they do.
Yeah.
It's really, I've had a lot of opportunity over the years of taking shortcuts and not being in integrity with medicine where I could prescribe something quickly or go a different route and not do primary care and get into something easier,
Mm.
longevity medicine, aesthetic medicine. And I just, at the end of the day, I can't do it because it's like I know too much to not care for people the way I would want them to be cared for. And it
Mm.
doesn't mean that I take on everyone. I refer out all the time and I only can load my patient load as much as I can. But if I'm working with someone, I have to give them all the opportunities I want to share with them. I want to educate them because I just think it's my duty. And I don't know. I can't sleep at night if I feel like I've taken a shortcut with someone. And sometimes I take shortcuts because that's what they're asking me for. And if that's what they
I
want,
can
I'm
imagine.
going to do that. Yeah.
I can imagine that someone comes to you in pain
Yeah. Of
and,
course.
they can, take an antibiotic that would
Yeah.
fix it, alleviate something in 12 hours versus take a
Right.
natural route, which could take 48
Yeah.
hours,
Yeah. And that's part of it is reading the person in front of me. If it's too stressful for them to wait for whatever thing they're going through, if like some people don't resonate with the idea of getting to the root of it because they just need to feel better. And often, if that's the way we're going to go, I hope that I can help them sleep or feel better so then they have more resources to then
Mm.
return to the deeper layers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have something, one of the things that I'm super interested in, and this is like taking a little bit of a left turn in our conversation, but something that I personally want to ask you
Yeah.
is that every spring, I have a house in New Hampshire. Every spring I plant a garden and I kind of
Sweet.
go through all the herbs I have in there and I plant more. And I have a huge lemon balm patch and
Oh.
lavender that, fingers crossed, comes back again this year. But in the springtime, I know in particular, like just kind of talking to herbalists in years past, that there's like, it's a good time for like liver cleansing is what I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
And it's spring right now.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like if you have herbs that you suggest that would be
Yeah.
like great herbs for anyone to kind of plant in a small garden plot or even on a balcony
Yeah.
that would be supportive specifically to midlife women.
Yeah. And springtime. Yeah. I love that question. So that's something so interesting to think about is the seasonality and like what's happening in our body in different seasons and what's growing outside and how that reflects the medicine that is a match, right?
Isn't this fascinating?
It's
Like
fascinating. Like what grows outside is like that's your
yeah.
medicine.
Well, I've always like come back to this concept, this theory that which is the truth to me, which is we are wildness. And so
Yes.
it's like we are obviously connected to the earth. We are just animals living on the
Right.
earth. I mean, we have evolved into these weird things, but like
Yeah.
we are really connected to the earth. So like that makes perfect sense
Yeah.
that we could be healed by the plants around us that grow naturally.
Hmm. Yeah, and the springtime in Chinese medicine, we talk about the springtime being the liver time, the liver gallbladder time, and the liver, and as we know in Western medicine, is in charge of filtering your life. You know, everything you breathe and eat and drink and eat has to be managed by the liver. You only get one, and it's really nice to be kind to your liver all the time. And then it's also nice to just have moments when you are like, you know what, I'm gonna like give my liver a little bit more love.
Mm,
And so the spring is a really natural time for that because we transition from the heavier, fattier foods of winter, and we naturally start to gravitate towards more greens and alive food that's out in our gardens. So the first thing I think about as something that's really supportive for the liver is all the lettuces, all the greens, everything green that you can eat. It's going to support the liver because it supplies it with all the minerals and vitamins for the liver detox pathways, and also it clears out through the intestines all that fiber and
mm,
cellulose. It like helps move the things through the intestines. Lemon balm, as you mentioned, is really prevalent in, pretty much from the middle of the country up this time of year and beyond. And that's a really nice plant for, it's like a nutritive plant that you can make a tea with. So you can just collect a bunch of lemon balm, make sure it's not in an area that's sprayed, put it in a big jar with hot water and just drink it. And it lifts the mood. It increases serotonin naturally. So it's really like brightening,
mm,
and it supplies the liver with some nice nutrients for detoxification. Another plant that's great is milk thistle. So milk thistle is something that you can use the root of, and you can buy it as a root and make tea with it. Make a tea with it, or it takes capsules, and that's a very potent nutritive plant for the liver that it doesn't drive detox in a way that's going to make you sick. Like sometimes you can over detox and get headaches
mm,
and feel badly, but milk thistle is a really gentle herb that it's pretty good for most people that they could add into their life for like a month
mm.
and get this nice nutritive effect. It's like giving the liver more energy to do its work. Another nice herb at this time of the year is nettles. So stinging nettles,
Mm. Yes,
which grow all over where I live.
I
Oh,
saw your
I'm like
reel.
crazy. I am crazy about the nettles. So nettles you can get at the farmer's market. If you know how to identify them, you can pick them. You wear gloves because they will sting you. And then you steam them or saute or blend and eat them abundantly because they are so mineral rich. So they will fuel all of your liver detox pathways with all the minerals. So we think of nettles as a blood builder because it brings all those minerals into your body. And like another simple thing that people can do during this time to just support the liver is start their day with lemon water. So like a big squeeze of lemon in your morning hot water, and that's going to it's going to wake your gallbladder up and support your liver detox.
So is that why this whole like I know so many people that have like hot lemon water
Yeah.
every morning.
Yeah. It basically wakes up your liver and your gallbladder. And it also starts the peristalsis action in your gut. So the sour flavor, it like turns your digestive tract on. And then your body's like, oh, great, party time. And then it starts to move things through.
Okay, this
Yeah.
is amazing because I'm the kind of person that needs to know the science behind something
Right. Me too.
in order to adopt it. So
Yeah.
it's like I don't
Yeah.
just do things willy-nilly. So now I know the
Yeah.
reason. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, lemon water every morning. Oh,
Yeah.
I have
I
another
like I like hot water or hot lemon water.
Yeah, I like hot drinks in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay, I know a question I haven't asked you. Now we're all over the
Yes.
place, but
All
now
over.
I'm
Let's
just
do it.
like girl to girl, woman to
Yeah.
woman, we're having this
Yeah.
conversation. Well, I want to talk about libido. I know there are 72,000 factors
Right.
that can affect a woman's libido, stress being probably the number one. How do you lead a woman through when she is coming to you saying like I just have zero
Right.
sexual desire right now. Like
Right.
it's gone.
Yes.
Maybe the kids are gone. It's not like it's
Right.
a huge stress thing.
Right, right. Yeah. So of course we still talk about the stress nervous system piece. And then we recognize that your hormones are changing, and the hormones that are responsible for libido are probably really going down, and that the vaginal health might not be as healthy, as supple, as lubricated. And, even if a woman has good libido, but her vagina hurts, like if sex is painful, there's going to be a feedback there that, like, no, thank you.
Right.
So first we have to make sure that the vaginal tissue is healthy. And I mean, 9 out of 10 times I am recommending vaginal estrogen cream. I just love it. Women love it. It doesn't have a big systemic absorption. There's a tiny little bit absorbed systemically. It is safe for most women, including cancer survivors. So
Mm,
I've spoken to many oncologists that work with, breast cancer patients who have had an estrogen sensitive cancer who still
yeah.
prescribe it and feel comfortable with that. Because when you don't have enough estrogen vaginally, the tissue shrinks. It becomes what we call friable. So it cuts easily. Lubrication goes down and blood flow goes down.
Okay, I think I
And
need.
the clitoris shrinks and the whole system is turned down. It's like the volume's been turned down.
So this just, I mean, I let it all hang out
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna talk freely. But for the first time in my life, like 3 weeks ago, I had sex that hurt.
Right.
I've never experienced that
Right.
before in my life. And I was just like, oh, it felt like
What
a
is going
paper
on?
cut.
Right. It feels like a paper cut. It feels like a paper cut. Exactly. It's a paper cut, and no amount of lubrication will change it. You can
Right.
be perfectly lubricated and still it will feel abrasive. And what's happening is the tissue is thinning out and it might actually be getting micro tears, which is the paper cut feeling. I
Yeah.
mean, women will describe the sensation of sandpaper, paper cut, raw,
Yeah.
red, hot. Estrogen cream tends to take care of it for most women. And then, you talk to your doctor about, am I doing it once a week? Am I doing it 2 to 3 times a week? It's usually somewhere around there.
Mhm.
Sometimes we'll add in DHEA because DHEA can help with some of the sensation and the pleasure. So the sensation can go down. So now where it might have taken you 10 minutes to feel really juicy and good, it might take 20. So sometimes
Mhm.
it just takes more time. I educate women on the idea that they need to like get their whole self in the game. So like even just like taking a hot bath or putting literally like dipping your pelvis in hot water will bring more blood flow to your pelvis. Like we want blood flow there. So you might need to bring your mind into it and
Mhm.
imagination or visual cues to get your body in the game.
Mm.
And then the lubrication, women can help their sexual pleasure by the right kinds of lubricants, like lubricants with CBD in it, really bring more blood flow and bring more sensation to the whole pelvis.
Yeah.
So starting to, I mean, it's not really, it feels a little bit like less spontaneous because you're like, all right, let me get this going and that going. But if you can just kind of like embrace it, like, okay, this is how I warm up for this activity and bring myself to it and let it be pleasurable. And then you can get the feedback that everything is working because part of the libido feedback is like, I'm broken, my vagina doesn't work anymore, and there's no
Mhm.
pleasure there for me. But if you can identify how to experience the pleasure, then you
Mm.
can, have a different story around it. And it might be the introduction of testosterone. Certainly, if we're using any systemic estrogen, we're going to get progesterone on board. So it can be all of the hormones. And
Yeah.
of course, this can be done without hormones. I mean, we've been tending to these bodies forever without hormones prior to, 30 years ago. But I do think that some interventions are supportive. So if it's herbal, we're doing chaste tree to increase progesterone. We might do some things to increase testosterone naturally. Horny goat weed, very weird name for a plant.
Yeah.
Hyaluronic acid can increase lubrication vaginally, like really nicely. It works beautifully.
Topically?
But yeah, topically.
Huh.
Yeah, you can do hyaluronic acid suppositories. So I have some women who will alternate like estrogen one night, hyaluronic acid one night, DHEA one night, repeat. And
And
like, yeah,
DHEA, is that a testosterone precursor? I forget what that is.
so it's a precursor for all the androgens. So it's
Okay.
testosterone. It can also be a precursor for estrogen. So you don't know what your body's going to make with it, but
Wow.
we do need DHEA. It is part of our hormone cascade. And so having DHEA on board can sometimes really help with the sensation part, like the pleasure part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like circling back to this idea where you were saying, a woman might feel like it's a lot to do to prepare for sex,
Yeah.
but like we can also reframe it as a
Yeah.
ritual too.
Yeah.
It's like I
Right.
take a really long time to warm up, much
Yeah.
more than I did in my younger days where I loved a quickie. I
Yeah.
don't anymore. I
Yeah.
can't I don't my body doesn't respond the same way. And I get in the shower by myself
Right.
and use body soap or whatever and put
Yeah.
on Sade and like I start the
Right.
process myself.
Yes.
And then, 20 minutes later, I'm warmed up enough for partnership.
Exactly. Yeah, the warm up, that warm up, I've noticed for me, the thing that gets me the most warmed up and juiced up is I go out dancing. Like I go to
Oh, yeah.
ecstatic dance and I
Yeah.
dance and I move my hips and I move my whole body. And then I come home and I'm like just a vessel of
Yeah.
pleasure. And it's like, of course, I want to layer on more pleasure on top of that. But
Yeah.
coming in cold, it's like if you were a soccer player, you wouldn't just run into the game. You would like warm up, run the field and do all the things.
It's brain
And
something.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So for me, like I'm a sensual, like it's like as far as like the erotic blueprint,
Yeah.
like I'm a sensual, like tried and true. So it's like my senses need to be engaged and pleased, and then I can feel turned on. And so that's an interesting piece is like understanding what turns you on and like pre-gaming, like you being in charge
Yes.
of getting yourself there.
Yeah. Oh my God. I could talk to you forever. I'm
I
like,
know
wait,
it's so
I'm like, oh
fun.
my God, we're still recording and I'm just asking a million questions. But I don't want to leave without talking about your book. So
Okay, great. Let's talk about the book.
yeah, they're so beautiful. And I was so excited. I didn't know what I was getting in the mail yesterday.
Right, no idea.
Really heavy box. And I was like, what is this? But so like they come just like so beautifully in this box that's going to be like,
Uh-huh. Ugh.
both of them in here. And I was just so excited to
Mm.
pull them out. I sat on my roof
Uh,
this afternoon and I ate my lunch and started just going through here. And it's absolutely beautifully organized and just beautiful layout. And I'm so
mhm.
excited just to have these around as
Yeah,
resources. Okay, so your books are called,
yeah.
or actually it's one book because
Well,
it's
it's a
separated.
2 volume. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
2-volume series. Yep.
I love how actually the page numbers continue
Right,
from
right,
one to the
exactly.
next. I was like,
Yes.
oh my God, this is so brilliant.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about the books and whatever you would
Yeah,
want my women to know about them?
yeah. Well, I mean, I started these a long time ago. It was a 15-year process from when I had the idea because I kept writing up the same treatment plans and giving people the same. There was a lot of like packaging of information that I realized, I just want to be able to hand someone something and be like, here, here's everything I know. Here's everything I've learned. And I want it to be accessible for you.
Mm,
And I also just love synthesizing information. Like I was talking about like blending East and West and Ayurvedic and all these different systems of medicine. Like where are the through lines?
mm,
And what could I communicate to someone? And so the 2-book series, book 1 is really like the juice and the why behind all of the things that you could do, the pillars of health and how to build your pantry with good food and what to do if you get a cold or a flu or shingles or what have you. Like what would I
mm,
do? First steps. And then I have, then of course I realized, oh, I need a chapter on sustainability because we're only as healthy as the environment. So what are the things that we can do to support that? And it really just evolved as like a web, like a little bit here, a little bit there. I'd be on the dance floor. I would get a download. Oh, I need to include this. I need to interview this person. I need their wisdom in here. And then of course I felt like I needed a cookbook as the accompaniment because cooking good, healthy food is the foundation for our health. I mean, just at
it
the
is.
end of the day, that's what we do every day is we eat a few times and what we put in our body matters. So I wanted to help people understand that they can cook simply and deliciously. And this like the cookbook is for everyone. You could eat from that book if you're gluten-free, vegetarian, or carnivore. Well, carnivores are going to have a hard time. because it's not, it's very veggie heavy,
Yeah.
veggie forward. But
Anyone
I
can
always
grill a piece of chicken and
exactly,
throw
you
it
can
on.
always grill a piece of chicken and add it. And so I say this is a great dish to add shrimp or add your fish or
Yeah.
whatever. And my goal was for everyone to feel invited to the party. Like I didn't want it to be just for people that already have adopted this way of life. I wanted people to feel seen in the books, that they can find themselves in the pages, whether they're like way down the road of healthy living or new to it. And the cool thing is that it actually has worked. I mean, I get love letters from 75-year-old, you know, guys living in a red state who say,
Wow.
I have never eaten this well in my life, and my wife got me this book, and people from Texas, people from Minnesota, from all over. And it's just like blowing my mind how it actually, like, my goal with my writing, and this is like my editors were so good with helping me, was that no one should ever feel shame or blame for the way they've been treating their body. All of it's just an invitation. And anytime I would have any language that like would cross into shame or blame, like my editors were like, "Hey, this felt a little bit judgy." I'm like, thank you. Thanks for, you know,
Well, I actually, I think I did quite a bit of reading actually on the
yeah.
roof today because like you framed like fruit juice
Uh-huh.
in a certain way. You're like, hey, listen, like there's ways to like incorporate juice. Juice is like a lot of sugar. It's like eating
Yeah.
like a glass of apple juice is like
Yeah.
7 apples. It's like
Right.
you'd
Right.
never sit down and eat 7 apples at once.
Right.
But you're like, if you love it, you could add some water,
Sparkling
add
water.
this,
Yeah.
add
Right.
some lime, add these other
Yeah.
things. And again, it felt like an invitation to all
Yeah.
of it. And like what I felt, to me, these books were a really beautiful reminder that you can eat simply and deliciously, and the recipes are not complicated. It's
Right.
like, wait a second, like this
I
is,
have that.
yeah, I have that, I have that, I have
Mhm.
I have garlic, I have onions. You
Yeah.
actually, on your feed, when I was scrolling through a few days ago, you made a soup, right?
Hmm.
A breakfast soup.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, like I have all my chicken carcasses in the freezer.
Right.
Like I have
Right.
all of these things available. Like I have mason jars of chicken stock. Like I could,
Right.
this is, it's just a
Yeah.
reminder of
Yeah.
how easy it can be to nourish ourselves.
Yeah. And we don't have to do all of it all the time.
No.
Yeah, like we can just do a little bit here when we feel called to it. We can, oh, it's springtime. What do I want to do? What does my body want? Okay, I'm gonna have lemon water for a little bit until it just falls out of favor. Like it doesn't all have to happen all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an invitation again.
Yeah.
And listening to your body. Like
Mhm.
I'll share one last thing before I let you go, but it's like I
Mhm.
was a vegetarian for from the time I was 19 until kind of on and off, but mostly on until 2 years ago
Mhm.
when I was so tired. I
Yeah.
I was so tired. I thought this is hormones. This is something I can barely.
Yeah.
My kids would make fun of me because I would say over and over again, oh, it's just a wave of tiredness.
Yeah.
I would have these waves of tiredness where like every afternoon I would have to I would collapse.
Yeah.
And I was like massively anemic. And my
Uh-huh.
doctor said, like, would you consider eating meat? And I
Right.
was like, the smell of meat, I love. No, I
Uh,
was like, I just
wow.
told myself meat was bad.
Right. Yeah.
I was like,
But
meat.
your body wanted it.
And now I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like strong and
Yes.
awake and
Yes.
alert. So
Yes.
listen to your body.
It's so true. I had a similar story, vegetarian for 10 years, so less time, but meat wasn't interesting, but then I got pregnant, anemic, and I started dreaming of meat, thinking about meat. All of a sudden it smelled good, and
Mm-hmm.
I listened, and then from that time on, I have animal products, a small portion, but
Mm-hmm.
almost every day, maybe, and
Yeah.
it just feels like it's I didn't feel like I needed it earlier, and now I feel like my body needs it. Like, I
Yeah.
need
You're listening.
efficiency. I need efficient building material.
Yeah.
And because it's hard to maintain our lean, strong body mass as we age. It takes a lot of work. Our body is like just it's in a shrinking phase. So it's like, oh, I gotta build. I gotta eat that dense
Yes.
protein, and I need to move weight around, or else I'm just gonna
Shrivel up.
shrivel up.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, the weightlifting piece.
yeah.
Okay, is there anything I love you?
I love you too. It's such a pleasure to connect with you.
Yeah, this is so fun. Is
Yeah.
there anything else you want to share with our listeners before we hop off?
Yeah, I guess I would say when you feel overwhelmed about what to do for your health, is just figure out what the next right step is. And it's gonna
Mm,
go for the thing that feels like it could be easy. Like,
mm,
I guess I could drink a glass of water in the mornings, or yeah, I could take daily walks. Like, go for the low hanging fruit that maybe you've neglected. Do it for 20 minutes, whatever that thing is, meditate, take the nap, and just recognize that your good habits will layer on top of it. You don't need to do everything, but just like figure out what the next right step is.
I love that advice. So often we go for like the major overhaul, and
Yeah.
then it's like
Yeah.
crash and burn because it doesn't
Right.
stick because it's too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, the basics, the next right thing. I love that. Okay, so Feminine Rebels, Dr.
Yes.
Erika Siegel is amazing. We are going to
Thank
put
you.
the links to her books, which are absolutely no brainers, and they come as a set. And her Instagram handle, DM her,
Yeah.
tell her you listened, say hi to her. Oh, you actually have a retreat coming up.
Yeah, it is all full, but I have a
Okay.
retreat coming in October. I have a
Amazing.
retreat coming in October in the Pacific Northwest, and it's a 3-day, just like luxuriate in yourself. We do breath work and yoga, delicious food, community acupuncture. We have a sauna and a cold plunge, and we just gather 14 people. I keep it small. And the really my goal is for people to come and just feel totally taken care of.
Mm,
And I try to provoke you a little bit to move some energy. Like the breath work is going to move some things. There probably will be some tears, but on the other end of it, you're just being held
mm.
and, leave feeling completely renewed. So if you go to my website, connect with me. I'll send you information, but that's going to happen in October.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
You might see me there.
Great. Oh my gosh, that would be such a joy. Yes,
Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for
totally. Thank
agreeing
you.
to come on the show. It's been a real pleasure.
Thanks, Natty.
Mwah. Okay.
Mwah.